The garnet stone that is present everywhere in the Catalan mountains has acquired, throughout the centuries, a great importance in Perpignan and in the Pyrénées-Orientales county. The deep red stone symbolizes loyalty and sincerity. The garnet jewels of Perpignan are set with rose-cut stones, that is, a flat base and faceted on the upper side. It is a very old method of working that only the Catalan jewellery trade continues to use. This kind of mounting, that has disappeared everywhere else in Europe, is made with the rose-cut stones with very little thickness. So it is the Perpignan cut, used only in the French part of Catalonia, that gives its name to these magnificent jewels with the blood and gold colours of the Catalan flag. History and tradition. After 1870, as a response to a period of crisis and huge technical changes, the jewellery industry in Roussillon made a decisive turn in its history. Making jewellery became Perpignan's speciality. The whole body of the profession began specialising in mounting garnets. This type of jewellery excels in stunningly luxurious pieces. Also, the garnet jewel symbolises the attachment to the Catalan territory. It becomes the living emblem of the Catalan roots. The jewellers started creating jewellery with pure lines and always following the trend of their time, Second Empire style, followed by Art Nouveau, and then Art Deco. The garnet jewellery trade is confirmed as a Perpignan speciality at the 1937 Paris International Exhibition with the splendid flower basket by Augustin Colomer and the Castillet, which took its name from the fortress in Perpignan and was set with 300 fine garnets. Unfortunately, this piece of jewellery has now disappeared. The Perpignan garnet jewel asserts itself as a symbol of a proud and authentic Roussillon by its works of art with their pure lines and typically Mediterranean style. During the 1950s and 60s, the jewellers remained faithful to the tradition despite economic pressures. The jewel continues to exist using its ancestral technique despite everything. Today, a sense of awareness has been born. The Perpignan garnet is now once again firmly installed in the worlds of fashion and luxury. As such, it has its share in the excellent reputation of Roussillonese expertise and in the search for perfection. Technique. All starts off with melting the gold, a noble material only used in the Catalan garnet jewellery industry. Its melting point at 1064 degrees Celsius, which is 1974 Fahrenheit, carried out in the workshops, makes it glow. It is then poured into a gold bar mould. Once it is cooled, the miniature gold bar is ready to be worked on. A first passage in the roller mill allows the Catalan jeweller to treat the material in order to obtain a long, regular wire. In the next stage, the wire is passed into a draw plate, a channel that becomes gradually smaller and smaller, makes it possible for the jeweller to acquire the necessary thickness for modelling the form for the crimp. The wire is stretched by an ancestral method on a bench called the stretching bench. The wire is then passed between the two cutting wheels of the clasp mill. By gradually tightening the wire, the setting is formed with a rail that makes it possible to hold the stone in its setting. The crimp is measured so as to obtain the necessary thickness. It is then reheated to give it a soft texture that can be worked on. The jeweller puts its setting around each garnet. He then adjusts the gold to the stone in a very precise manner. The garnet will rest on the thread created inside the setting. Once adjusted, the setting is soldered end to end. A foil of solder is added to make a perfect structure. In the next stage, by the stamping method, the jeweller produces the foil for the underside. This is cut out from a gold sheet and then stamped on a wafer of lead with a dapping punch. This tool gives the hollow shape of the jewel itself. The exact form, drawn by hand, is then cut out with clippers. The bottom is fixed onto the setting with the aid of a bind wire that stabilizes the whole piece. The bottom can now be soldered, and the whole now forms what is called a bezel. In the case where the bezel is intended to become a pendant, an oblong piece is also made by hand, starting from gold sheet that has already been through the rolling mill. This piece is then soldered to the bezel. Like this, it enables a chain or a cord to be passed through it. Once assembled, the bezel gets a finish with a file to adjust it. The next step is fundamental in the making of the Perpignan garnet jewellery. It consists in placing the red-coloured foil that will give all its splendour to the stone. This very ancient tradition has gradually become the trademark of the traditional Catalan jewellery. A garnet is then put into place and set in the bezel. The setting is the final stage in the production of Perpignan garnet jewellery. This stage requires precise skills that are learnt throughout a long apprenticeship. The jewel is then polished to give it once again its sparkling appearance. The jeweller stamps on all his works the statutory hallmarks, the hallmark of responsibility, that is the artist's signature, and the state hallmark that guarantees the required gold content. Still not very well known, a handful of Catalan jewellers have discovered how to maintain in the deep south of France, from generation to generation, a rare and precious expertise. These men, unassuming, full of talent, and very much enamoured with the traditional gestures of workmanship, give us the guarantee for keeping alive not only the artistic wealth of the French part of Catalonia, but also the very old heritage of the highest level of French jewellery. So that you may share in these skills, they have accepted to open the doors of their workshops. The Perpignan jewellery craft, supreme in the second half of the 19th century, has never ceased since then to develop a unique Catalan style. In the various fields represented by French jewellery, the Perpignan garnet jewel can be proud of its history and its genuineness.